Hello and welcome to the News Minute. Joining us is Siddharth Prabhakar, who's been writing for the News Minute on cricket on the World Cup. Hi Siddharth. What a match we've had yesterday. The first semi-final, as expected, was an entertainer. Um, but it's not about India. This video is about the second semi-final. South Africa takes on Australia in Kolkata. Now, a lot of history again with these two teams also. You remember the 1999 Edgbaston tied match. So a lot of history there. So say Siddharth, take us through these two teams. What do you think?
For once, Bhuvan, I think this game is going to evoke a lot of nostalgia. I think the first video that popped up on my Instagram feed today morning was the 1999 World Cup semi-final, and I did see a lot of a lot of ways in which South Africa could have won that game very easily, but it was Australia's day, and it was definitely Shane Warne who really brought the game in Australia's favor after a very good start by Herschel Gibbs, and I think it was Herschel Gibbs and Gary Kirsten. So yeah, so as far as 2023 World Cup goes, there's no question, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that South Africa has been, as the standings show, the second best team in the tournament. But like you rightly said, it's the semi-final now. It's a knockout game, and I mean, what you've done in the league stage doesn't matter. It's what the players do in this game that's going to matter. So if you look at the teams, South Africa has had a really good tournament as far as batting and bowling is concerned. For example, Quinton de Kock is just 120 runs behind Virat Kohli, and Markram has done really well. Van der Dussen has done really well, and Klaassen has shown a blitzkrieg and shown us what he is capable of. On the bowling side, Gerald Coetzee has been among the wickets, and he's been and Marco Janssen has also taken wickets. If we look at the bowling standings right now, uh, Janssen has taken 17 wickets. Coetzee, of course, is the top South African bowler with 18 wickets, and Maharaj has also been among the wickets with 14. And as far as Australia is concerned, in runs, David Warner, as he does with all World Cups, is on the top of the table. So he's been extremely consistent. And Mitchell Marsh has scored a couple of hundreds. But if you look at their batting, apart from that, and of course, if you want to consider Maxwell, because Maxwell has around 400 runs in this tournament, but 200 of them came in just one game. But we have to look at the graph now. Australian team is peaking. They have won 7 on the trot. And they're just and you know we are all 90s kids, so we know how how Australia has traumatized us Indians, as well as that is how unbeaten they have been in world cricket, throughout through the 2000s, early 2000s. So they are peaking at the right time. So I think it's going to be a fantastic contest today.
Right, Siddharth. You did say about the last time these two teams met in the World Cup and in this World Cup, and Australia were thrashed by South Africa. South Africa went on to score 300 runs and dismissed Australia for 117. But Australia went on to have seven straight wins. So that talks a lot about the this team, and you can't rule out history of these teams. And Australia is the most successful team, winning the World Cup 5 times, and has been runner up 2 times. So is that the way Aussies play? Is that go? Is that does that intimidate other teams because you have one team which knows how to win things?
So Bhuvan, definitely you're spot on. That is the way Australia intimidates other teams. If you just look at if you just look at the Bangladesh game as just one game, Bangladesh actually batted really well to post 300 plus runs. They could have got 20, 30 more runs. That's a totally different story altogether. If Mahmudullah had not been run out in that very stupid fashion, then definitely they could have scored at least 30 more runs because he was looking really good. But you look at the way Australia batted. I mean, one of their batsmen, Mitchell Marsh, has come on and scored 170. And if you look at the people he was batting with, David Warner and Steven Smith, who are actually cricket legends, batting legends of this generation, they actually played second fiddle to him. Warner was just nudging around the singles and twos and getting the odd boundary. And if you look at the highlights package of that match, you will not be able to see Steven Smith at all. You will only be able to see Mitchell Marsh because that is how he has dominated. So you look at the Australian team now, they have someone like Mitchell Marsh who can dominate. And they have two superstars, David Warner and Steven Smith, who on their day can really, bat you out of a 50 over game. And apart from this, they have someone called Travis Head, who is, probably as good or even better than, or even more destructive than Rohit Sharma. Because let's take our viewers back to the game against New Zealand in Dharamshala, where I think, if I'm not mistaken, Warner and Head got 100 runs in 10 overs. I mean, we are all marveling at how Rohit Sharma is getting India off the flyers, 10 overs, 84, and things like that. But imagine this game, Travis Head and Warner got 100 of 10 overs. So that is the kind of that is the kind of batting superpower, firepower that this team has. So, like you rightly said, this is extreme. This can be extremely intimidating for any bowling lineup. However, the Lucknow game where Australia played South Africa earlier in the World Cup provides us key insights to how the teams might play today. For example, Lucknow was a turner, and South Africa brought in their second left-arm spinner Tabrez Shamsi to play. And South Africa batted first, posted around 300, 310, and got Australia all out for 100 odd. Okay. So I think Kolkata is also going to be it's going to turn a lot. Like how we saw the India South Africa game where India played really well to get 300 odd, and South Africa was all out for 90 odd, I think 80 odd. So that is going to be a harbinger of what's going to happen. Definitely, I think South Africa might bring in their left arm spinner Tabrez Shamsi, who's actually been really good in the games he's played. He was the man of the match against Pakistan and Chennai. Okay, so they'll go in with two spinners, but if you see, Australia doesn't have that luxury. Australia is playing only one frontline spinner in Adam Zampa, so Maxwell will have to bowl 10 overs, and they might use some more Travis Head. South Africa will look to bat first, look to post a total, because we know South Africa are not good in chasing. So according to me, the toss is going to be extremely vital. So if South Africa win the toss, they'll bat first, and if Australia win the toss, they are going to bat first. And it will take a hell of a big effort from South Africa if they have to chase, and vice versa. If Australia also has to chase, it's going to be a big task.
Right. So we also have a tag for South Africa, which we don't have to discuss. We don't have to name it, but they have been different this World Cup. Obviously, they had a great start, and they've picked up. They also had terrible losses, but South Africa has been there. Has always been somebody like New Zealand also has always been around the corner and waiting for its glory. So do you think it's time for the senior players? Like I think this might be Decock's last World Cup. He has also said so. Where they pick up the baton, and if you see yesterday's match, uh, I think it were the senior players. It was Darren Mitchell, Kane Williamson, who were anchoring to a point where we thought India might be in a spot of bother. So, how important is for the seniors to pick up the role?
For viewers who have seen seen the preview of our first semi-final, India versus New Zealand, we spoke about how batting 50 overs is going to be very crucial, right? See, for example, yesterday New Zealand could have been all out for 220 if they had gone hard, but you saw Mitchell and Williamson, nudging around, playing at 5 to 6 runs and over, and then they quickly started getting a few 10, 15 runs over. So that is also going to be something that both teams will try to do today. And if you see, apart from India, South Africa has been that one team which has always looked to, not dominate, but actually play very steadily in the middle overs, and then they have people like Klaasen and Janssen who have just come at the end and blasted their way through. That's why if you see, South Africa would have gotten 100 runs in the last 8 overs, 120 in the last 10 overs, and things like that in some of the games where they batted first. I just dug out some statistics. So if you see, if you compare, say, South Africa and India, which have been the top two teams, India, every batsman in India's top five, that is Rohit Sharma, Gill, Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, and KL Rahul. All of them have been among the runs. They have scored 300 plus runs. How in South Africa, very similar. Quinton de Kock, Aiden Markram, Vander Dussen, Klaasen, and Markram. Sorry, yeah. So except Temba Bavuma, their opener, four batsmen have done really well. So that has been probably the difference between India and South Africa, is that their opener Temba Bavuma, their captain, has not been able to score the big runs. In the games that I have seen, Bavuma has played a few very good looking shots, but and there's a lot of talk about Bavuma. People miss the fact that Bavuma averages almost 50 in ODIs, and he scored a brilliant 100 against Australia in the five-match ODI series in South Africa just before the World Cup. Apart from that, I feel Bavuma really needs to step up, and he'll also be looking to score big today, so that the one big major hole in their batting lineup is fulfilled. Apart from that, I think the bowling has done really well. I think Keshav Maharaj's form has, he's really come on to the next stage. I mean, when we think of a South African team, we always think about fast bowlers who are, menacing, but we never talk about their spinners. I mean, you can't recall any South African spinner who's done really well, who's spun the ball and taken a lot of wickets, bamboozled the batsman. So Keshav Maharaj is one who has come up to that next stage, especially among cricket fans and experts.
When we look at Australia, you know, they have been winning straight games and performing well, performing like their reputation. But there are loopholes, and even I think even in Afghanistan match, you did see a big 100 from Maxwell. But I think Afghanistan lost a trick or two because you have Maxwell. You first of all you drop a catch. Catches are important in these situations, and you have Maxwell who has a strain in his has cramped his leg, and can't move, and they in fact bowl in the slots to him. They don't make him stretch and bowl away from him, and that's where they lost the plot. So I think that also comes again with how we spoke about intimidation and everything. But South Africa but South Africa will keep that in mind. And how do you see this Australian team tackling this?
Yeah. So for me, the biggest letdown, if I can put it, has been the form of Pat Cummins and Mitchell Stark. Now, if you look at the statistics, Cummins has played, of course, all the 9 games. So he's the captain, and he's picked up only 10 wickets. Okay, and he's gone for an economy of 6.15. His best bowling is only at 2 for 32. And if you see Mitchell Stark, he's also picked up only 10 wickets, and he's gone at an economy of 6.55. Now, I mean, Mitchell Stark and Pat Cummins are, I mean, their comparative failure has been, absorbed by the extraordinary form of Adam Zampa. One could say, Adam Zampa is on the is I think before Shami's 7 wickets yesterday, he was a top bowler. But Zampa's form has kind of absorb the pathetic, because I was watching a interview of Mitchell Stark. So Mitchell Stark agrees that he's probably not been at his best, but that's where the Australian spirit comes in. So I would be if bets were on, then I would definitely be betting on Mitchell Stark playing really well, turning in a very fantastic performance. Giving away runs is not an issue, but Stark might go for 60, 70 runs, but he comes and takes 5 wickets, is going to be big. Apart from that, if you see, Australia's major problem has been their fifth bowler. So you have Stark and Cummins, who have not been at their best. You have Zampa, who's at the top of the leaderboard. Okay, you have Maxwell, who's coming in and doing his job by bowling 10 quiet overs and probably taking his wickets. But the fifth bowler they have struggled with. So, Bhuvan, what is going to be a major point of discussion as far as the Australian team is concerned is what is going to be the 11 for the semi-final today. Now, just to remind our viewers, in the game against Bangladesh, Glenn Maxwell was not available. So, if Maxwell is available, then either Stoinis or Marnus Labuschagne will have to make way for Maxwell. So it's going to be a $1 million question, because I have a few fans who are like very hardcore Australian supporters. So, so one of them was pointing out how Labuschagne, after getting two runouts in the last game, probably becomes a key person in the team. But his bet would definitely be on Marcus Stoinis, because Stoinis is a destructive middle order, is a finisher, and is quite effective with the ball. So it's definitely going to be. Let's not forget that Manas Labuschagne is one of Australia's top run scorers. I mean, he scored 286 runs in this World Cup. And he's scored a couple of important 50s. So that is going to be an important selection. Other than that, I think Australia is pretty set.
Siddharth, I feel regardless of how the players have performed, you have quality players like Rabada on this side and Mitchell Stark on Australia's side. You know, often we've seen that these players soak in the pressure and perform really well in the knockout stages when the team actually needs them. And I think like Mitchell Stark and the same I hope from Rabada also, because these are players who've been playing in Indian conditions. Mitchell Stark not much as much, but these are players who know the conditions well, who have been playing the IPL also, and you have Cummins who's captained KKR. So these things are definitely going to factor in, and we do hope that there is going to be a great semi-final match. But before we go, let's also point out that Australians are have a weakness against left arm spinners, and obviously there is also the greatness of Jadeja, who comes and picks up Smith every time they meet, even in Test cricket. So how is that going to be important? I think Keshav Maharaj's role, and you see, you have South Africa as Jensen, who it's very important for them to have him among the wickets, and when he does takes wicket, well, they end up doing well. So I think these two bowlers are going to be very crucial for South Africa. So how do you see the left arm spin matchup against Australia?
If you remember the game India played against South Africa in Kolkata, Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav both were getting a bit more spin as compared to other pitches. Even if you remember, then Keshav Maharaj was extremely unplayable. I mean, Shreyas Iyer was, I think, 7 of 20 balls at one point of time, and I think Maharaj's figures were, I think, 10 overs, 2 maidens, 27 runs. So Maharaj is definitely going to be extremely key. And if Maharaj manages to pick up 2 or 3 wickets, then Australia is going to be in a spot of bother, more than a spot of bother. But the same holds true for Zampa as well. Zampa
I'm sure
and
South Africa isn't a great player of spin again,
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's true.
that's quite important.
I mean, I wouldn't say they aren't a great player of spin, because in Hendrik Klaasen they have a world class player who is equally good at playing pace as well as spin. But the point again is of pressure. Now, if South Africa is batting second, is chasing even say 270, then it becomes a completely different ball game altogether. Because you're playing under lights, you're under pressure, you're against an Australian team which is going to come hard at you, especially in a semi-final, in a knockout game. So things matter. If South Africa is batting first, and they might play out Zampa a bit, and then go after the other four bowlers. And if they post 270, 280, 300 on the board, and then Rabada comes in on a very dry surface. He's able to bowl at the stumps. He gets a lot of he keeps the batsman on the tenterhooks, and then Maharaj comes in and picks wickets. Then same pressure is going to apply on Australia as well. So that is why it is going to be an evenly matched, and the spinners will definitely decide the game. Is what I feel. I mean, definitely Stark, Cummins, Rabada will play a role. Janssen, like you rightly said, when the ball is still swinging, he will be playing a role with his bounce as well. But I think the game is going to be decided based on how South Africa play Australia spinners and how Australia play South Africa spinners. Also, like I said, I want to reiterate, toss is going to be extremely important. Both teams will look to bat first.
Right. So in India, we have seen that you sometimes when you lose wickets early, a good key partnership takes you to a good score, and those are your middle overs where you toil hard, take a single or two, and then hit the odd ball to the boundary. So how important is that for these two teams who let's just say that, because we both know that their openers on both sides are not going to stop, so they are going to have a go at each other, and it's I think the onus is again on the middle order batsman. Even yesterday, even with the Indian match, you saw how Shreyas Iyer came and accelerated, which also allowed Kohli to calm down a little and get to his century, or vice versa. And that I think is a key role that players have to in this match have to focus on. So those middle order batsmen, how important are they?
So, Bhuvan, if you see, according to me, I think South Africa's middle order is looking a lot more solid than Australia's, because if you see, South Africa's one down, two down, and three down, it is Van der Dussen, Markram, and Klaasen, and then Miller to come and finish it off. So these four have probably been our second best only to India. If you look at Australia, because of Mitchell Marsh's 100, Mitchell Marsh comes in at number three, Steve Smith comes in at number four, and after that, I don't know if Labuschagne is playing today. If Labuschagne is not playing, then Maxwell comes in there. Josh Inglis has had a pathetic World Cup so far, and then so if Josh Inglis comes in, and then it is Maxwell and Stoinis. Both of them have not had a. So you can see the comparison. The Australian middle order looks a lot shaky, whereas the South African middle order looks a lot more settled and solid. They have been the top run scorers for their side as well. But that said, uh, it also depends on the start. So so if you see South Africa's starts, if you've seen South Africa's batting throughout the series, largely De Kock has scored really good boundaries, but I don't think they have been extremely aggressive. They have tried to bat out the 20-30 overs and then wait for their finishers, their middle order batsmen to come and finish the game. Whereas Australia, with Travis Head and Warner, they will be going hard. They will be looking for their 100 runs in the first 10 overs. So, so it's going to be a bit different. Australia cannot guarantee themselves a easy win if they get the early wickets. Okay, because their South Africa's middle order is strong. But the converse is not true. If South Africa get early wickets of Australia, then Australia has a much bigger task on their hand because their middle order has not been doing.
Right, Siddharth? So we hope the semi-final matches up to the promise, and you have two top teams going against each other. Having another stint at the like they have been at the South Africa have been at the receiving end of the knockouts in the World Cups, and we have one team who has done really well in these stages and know how to win, know how to steer their game, and we do hope that there is another entertainer promised today, and we will be back with more discussions, and then there is the final on Sunday, so stay tuned. Thank you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Bhuvan.